Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that introduction. I'm excited to be able to spend a few minutes with you here talking about identity theft. Identity theft, as we know, is the fastest growing crime in the country right now. In fact, how many people in here have been a victim or known somebody that's been a victim? Okay? If you just look around the room, I mean, that's most people in here. You can't pick up a newspaper, look at a magazine, turn on a TV, and not see something on identity theft. In fact, some of you might have seen this recently, front cover of Consumer Reports magazine, America's Worst Scams, ID Theft Tricks. I mean, it is not slowing down, and that's really what we want to talk about here today. We're going to talk about identity theft, in reality, what it is, who does it affect, and more importantly, how can you protect yourself from this. So let's jump right in and talk about some facts on identity theft. You know, the Federal Trade Commission, as we said, reported that the identity theft has been the #1 consumer complaint for 11 consecutive years in a row. And it's not slowing down. Over 563 million Americans' identities have been stolen, reported lost or stolen since January 2005. And that's actually when they started gathering all the data from public data breaches. And also the interesting thing to note there is that these are the cases that are reported. In reality, there's a lot more. Over 400,000 dead people opened up bank accounts last year, according to the AARP. The revenue from trafficking financial data has surpassed that of drug trafficking globally. There's more money in identity theft than there is in drugs on a worldwide scale. And over 3.5 million children have already fallen victim to identity theft in the U.S. Identity theft, again, is not slowing down. In fact, it's poised to increase by 20 times over the next 2 years. Criminals are still trying to figure out what to do with all this data. And there's currently over 27,000 new victims of identity theft every single day. You're more than 3 times as likely to have your identity stolen than you are to have your house or your car broken into. The average dollar amount charged in identity theft, over $92,000. Now, I know that seems like a big number, but that's not the number that you need to concern yourself with. You know, if someone goes out and gets a mortgage in your name, you know, obviously you're not going to be responsible for paying that mortgage off. There's financial insurances there that the financial institutions have in place to protect you from a lot of those charges. In fact, the average out-of-pocket's around $1,500 if you are a victim. But this is what you need to be concerned with, and it's the time that it takes to restore your identity, which is over 600 hours. And that's 600 work hours. Now, for those of you that have been a victim or have known somebody that's been a victim, I can, only imagine that it probably wasn't a quick process. It wasn't something as far as just picking up the phone and saying, hey, this wasn't me, and the problem resolved itself. I mean, there's a lot of legwork. There's a lot of things that you have to do, and we're going to talk about some of those things here today. And most identity theft issues are not even related to credit. And that's what most people are thinking of. And that's one of the dangers. You know, the financial institutions do a great job in educating people on the financial side, but, credit cards and financial issues, things like that, credit scores, that's not the biggest part of identity theft. So let's talk a little bit about what identity theft is in reality. And in fact, Susan, can I pick on you for just a second? You're sitting here on the front row. Susan, let me ask you a question. I want you to imagine that Cheryl over here has gotten your information. Now, you all know Cheryl's the office manager here, and Cheryl has access to all of you guys' information. She can get your social, your driver's license. When you came and you applied to work here, you had to give all that information, and she has access to all that. Now, Cheryl is out driving home one day, and she gets pulled over for speeding. She's got a heavy foot there and gets pulled over. Problem is, Cheryl, you guys may not know this, has a warrant for her arrest. She's got a couple felonies, and so Cheryl doesn't want to give her information. It's the reason that she's carrying around yours. Now, when the officer comes up to issue that ticket, she's going to say, you know what, I left my pocketbook at home, but here's my name, here's my driver's license number, here's my social security number. It's going to give them all of Susan's information. Now, Susan, you are now being issued a ticket. Problem is, you don't know about it. So a couple months goes by, this ticket court date rolls around. Now, Susan, you don't show up to court, and when you don't show up to court, they're going to suspend your driver's license. They're going to, issue a request for you to appear. When court rolls around, the end of that, the judge sees that you didn't show up. At that point, you are issued a request to appear in court the next time. Problem is, Cheryl had given them a different address. She's played this game before. She knows what she's doing. So you receive the notification at another address. Fast forward a month later, court rolls around again, and the judge requested you to show up, and you don't appear. Does anybody in here know what happens when you don't show up to court per a judge's request? Absolutely, a bench warrant. So at that point, you know, Susan, now things have gotten a lot worse because you went from having a suspended driver's license to now having a warrant for your arrest. But not a problem, you don't know about it. But let's say a year later down the road, you're driving down, let's say you're over here in Nashville, you're driving around the Briley Parkway there, and you come around and the police officer pulls you over. Maybe you have a tail light out, maybe you are driving a little fast, maybe he's going to do nothing more than give you a warning until he runs your license. And when he pulls that license and he sees that it's been suspended, that there is a warrant for your arrest, all these different things, and he asks you to step out of your car. And now, Susan, he's going to be real nice about it. He's going to explain to you why he's doing it. But when he tells you, you know, hey, you didn't show up to court on this day, you didn't pay your fines for this, the judge asked you to appear in court for this, and when you didn't fail, or when you failed to appear, he issued that warrant for your arrest. At that point, as you're being placed under arrest, Susan, what are you going to tell the police officer? It wasn't me, exactly. And for those of you that are taking notes, please write that down. It wasn't me, because that's the best thing you can tell the police officer, because they've never heard that before, right? And when we say it, it almost makes us sound more guilty. But Susan, just like everybody else that's been involved with that situation, knows what it means to be guilty until proven innocent. Identity theft is one of the only crimes where you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent, and it's up to you to prove your innocence. That's what takes so much of your time. That's where the real problems comes in. But a lot of times people say, well, does that kind of thing really happen? And it happens a lot more than you would think. In fact, here is a video of a lady who was pulled over, and she couldn't understand why things started to happen the way that they did. Let's take a look.
Every time Stancy Nesby looks in the rearview mirror, she can't help but wonder if she's about to be pulled over.
Everybody needs to put themselves in my shoes and know that this could happen to them.
A 30-year-old single mom with 4 kids who holds 2 jobs working as a nurse's assistant, life was hard enough before her problems with police.
It's made it really hard for me to smile and be the normal person that I felt like I was at first.
It started 4 years ago when Stancy was pulled over for speeding in the Bay Area. She admitted going too fast, but couldn't understand why she was being arrested.
I ended up going to jail that day. They didn't believe anything I was saying.
It turned out Stancy had a warrant for her arrest. The police databases showed she'd been busted for cocaine possession here in San Francisco's seedy Tenderloin district back in 1999, but that she never showed up for court appearances. Stancy had to spend 3 days in jail. The problem, she was innocent. Police later confirmed it when her fingerprints didn't match the real suspect who had used Stancy's name.
I've had nightmares about this.
She says police told her they'd fix the problem, but 2 months later, Stancy was arrested again, this time at her home in Berkeley. Once again, she says when the officers discovered the error, they told her they'd help her clear her name. But 3 months later, Stancy was arrested again in yet another jurisdiction. And it didn't end there. From 2002 to 2004, Stancy was arrested or detained 7 times by 5 police departments. In one instance, hauled off right in front of her children.
The kids were crying, and basically they ended up, throwing me on the ground and sticking their knees in my back.
And that's the first type of identity theft, character and criminal. Someone uses your information, commits a crime, and when they go out on bail, they use your information, leaving you with the warrant, leaving you with the record on your criminal reports. And it's up to you, again, to clear that up when it presents itself to you. The second area of identity theft is Social Security identity theft. That's when someone uses your information, uses your Social Security number, either to file taxes. For the most part, though, it's used to go out and get a job using your name. And when you think about it, why would someone want to use your Social Security number to go out and get a job? Right? Someone might be trying to avoid paying back taxes, having their wages garnished, trying to pass a background check, illegal immigration. Probably the biggest one, maybe they don't have their own Social Security number. And the way the laws are written, someone doesn't have to have their own Social Security number. They just have to have a valid Social Security number. And if yours is valid, there's worth to someone taking your Social Security number. Let's take a look now at a video of a lady who didn't just have 1 or 2 or 3 illegal immigrants using her Social Security number, but actually had several hundred using it at once.
Audra Schmierer has been a stay-at-home mom for 6 years. Now that her son's in school, she wants to return to work, so she applied to a temp agency.
They called me 3 or 4 hours later and said, Mrs. Schmierer, I don't understand why you're applying. You already work here.
At a big tech company, a similar experience.
Here's my driver's license, my passport, my Social Security card. I gave them everything. And she said, well, really, how can you actually prove you're you? What if those people have the same documentation you do?
Schmierer has discovered more than 200 illegal aliens throughout the United States are doing jobs Americans supposedly won't do by using her Social Security number. They work in fast food chains, cosmetic companies, even receive dividends from Microsoft.
I started to gather all this information and really found out how extreme the situation was. It's scary.
Her ordeal began last year with a bill from the IRS for nearly $16,000 in back taxes for a job in Texas. She lives in Dublin, California.
My husband was actually quite upset. He asked me when I had ever been to Texas.
She tracked down the illegal alien whose phony tax return triggered the IRS bill. He told her he bought her Social Security number and a fake green card at this Texas flea market.
I don't understand how illegal aliens can come across here and commit a felony. Identity theft is a felony. And be excused from that felony to continue living their life when I cannot live my life.
By January, Schmierer faced a $1 million IRS bill. She was temporarily detained by Customs returning from a foreign business trip with her husband, and her Social Security account now shows a zero balance, erasing 14 years of work before her marriage.
Social Security right now sends me to IRS. IRS sends me to Social Security. Every now and then they'll send me to the FTC, whom I have a case with. No one wants to do anything about it. Right now, I have nowhere to go.
Schmierer spends several hours a day trying to clear her name. The IRS has canceled her bill, but Social Security won't give her a new number. She says all 35 employers she's contacted have refused to take action against the workers using her number.
It's cheap labor, and they don't care.
Neither do most senators. John Ensign brought Schmierer's case to their attention, and they still approved Social Security benefits for illegal aliens using stolen identities.
The crime of identity theft and Social Security fraud are not victimless crimes. The victims of these crimes are American citizens and legal immigrants.
Casey Wyan, CNN, Dublin, California.
Now, the third area of identity theft is actually the fastest growing area of identity theft, and that's medical identity theft. Medical identity theft is when someone uses your information, goes to a doctor or a hospital, checks in, has something procedure, has a procedure or something done. Maybe they go and get prescription medication in your name. Now, the problem with that isn't just the medical bills that start getting issued in your name, but your medical records could be changed. Your blood type could be changed. Your health insurance could be denied because you didn't report that you had a certain disease. Or if something were to happen to you, the life insurance company may not pay your family the benefits they're entitled to because you didn't report that you had a certain disease when you took out your policy. You know, again, those are the things that people need to be concerned with identity theft in the medical area, and again, the fastest growing area. Let's take a look real briefly at a story of a lady who received an alarming phone call one day, and it actually escalated more than just that phone call.
I was absolutely floored. You just would never imagine in a million years that something could happen like this.
Several months ago, Andrea Sachs got an alarming phone call. Her newborn baby had just tested positive for illegal drugs. Problem is, Andrea hasn't given birth in years.
As much as I denied it, they just kept insisting that, yes, I was the mother of this child. There was nothing that I could say to get out of it.
To make matters worse, authorities showed up at her door the next day, calling her an unfit mother and threatening to take away all 4 of her kids.
When you know you're innocent and you didn't do anything wrong, it just absolutely, I was in tears. I was a wreck.
Turns out, Andrea was the victim of medical ID theft. Someone had stolen her driver's license, walked into a hospital, and had a baby, leaving Andrew with a $10,000 bill and a fight to clear her name.
Do you think it's a big problem?
It's a huge problem.
Kris is a fraud expert with Ingenix, a company that tracks medical ID theft cases. He says victims have more worries than just fraudulent doctor bills. Your medical records can also be altered, with the crook's information substituted for your own.
Inadvertently, your blood type can be changed, your medications that you're on that can be changed, your underlying medical conditions can be changed.
Which can be life-threatening.
Certainly.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
The next area that you need to be concerned with is really the area that most people are familiar with, and that's the financial side of identity theft. Now, financial identity theft, as it pertains to credit issues, actually accounts for less than 17% of all cases of identity theft, but still very critical because a thief can come in and they can destroy your good credit in just a matter of hours. Banks have done a great job informing people and educating people that identity theft is mostly credit monitoring because that's the side that they're familiar with. So while it is an important area of identity theft to be aware of and familiar with, also you need to realize and understand that it's not the biggest area. Identity theft encompasses so many other markets as well, including the fifth, which is driver's license identity theft. Now, driver's license identity theft is when someone gets your information. And I want you to imagine that somebody has a driver's license with your name, your address, all of your information, but it's their picture on there. Well, is there anything that they couldn't do in your name? They can go out, they can get a job, they can open up a bank account, they can post bond, commit a crime and bail out. They can access all the other areas of identity theft just by having that driver's license in your name. And it's easier now to get a driver's license in someone's name than it ever has been before. I mean, we'd like to think that things are toughening up, but how many times do we turn on the news and we see somebody else is being arrested that's working in a DMV selling information, giving people driver's licenses? They used to bust organized crime rings, and what were they finding? They were finding drugs, they were finding weapons. Now what are they finding? They're finding credit card processing machines. They're finding driver's license printing machines. Again, it's such a lucrative crime that people are getting more and more involved using it to access your information because there's, again, big money in that. The next area is minor children identity theft. How many people in here have minor children? Now, do you realize that, it used to be when you went to get a job at 16, you were issued a Social Security number. Now, you can't even leave the hospital without your child having a Social Security number, and those are prime targets. Because when your child is a victim of identity theft, they may not catch on for years down the road. They may not find out they're a victim until they go to get their driver's license just to realize that they've already had a license that's been suspended. Maybe they're going to get a student loan when they turn 18 and are going to college, only to find out that they've defaulted on 2 or 3 other loans. Here's a picture of a young child. I owe $16,000 on my credit card. My condo's in foreclosure, and I turned 7 on Friday. Now, looking at that, I always, have chuckled because I'm looking on it from the outside. And from the outside looking in, it does seem kind of funny. But I can assure you this, when you're on the inside of that situation, and that's one of your children that's dealing with that, the burden is on you as the parent, and it's not a funny situation at all. So knowing that identity theft is a problem and seeing all the different areas that it encompasses, what are some things that you can do to protect yourself? We've given everybody one of these sheets here, 12 tips of identity theft, and I'm just going to go through these real briefly. If you want to follow along with me, there's some great information in here. And again, this isn't all-inclusive, but these are some great bullet points. I mean, we develop habits as we go out. For example, when we leave our house, we lock our doors. Maybe when we get to a street, we look both ways before crossing. Some day-to-day things have just become habits for us to help protect ourselves. Well, there are some things that you can do or not do that will also help protect yourself from this crime. Number one, shred financial documents and any paperwork. Don't just throw things out. We hear things on the news all the time about somebody went through somebody's trash and pulled out some information, or somebody went to the landfill and found a big box of financial information or statements or account numbers on somebody. So again, don't just toss those records out. Make sure you're shredding all those documents. Number 2, protect your Social Security number. Don't carry your Social Security card around in your wallet. There's no need for that. If you know your Social Security number, a lot of times that's good enough, and if you have access to your Social Security card at home when you need it, then that's good. Next, don't give your personal information out over the phone unless you are the one that initiated the call. See, the harder we work to protect our information, the harder the thieves are working to get our information. The harder they work to get our information, the more relaxed we become in giving our information. Now, I know it sounds kind of weird and it's kind of a crazy cycle, but these thieves are coming out with some pretty cool things that are really putting our guards down. Some of the things they come out with is pretty cool, though. For example, they just had a convention over in the Ukraine where identity thieves from all over the world flew in, and just like you guys are sitting in a room here today learning to protect yourselves from identity theft and learning how to protect your information, they went and sat in classes learning how to get your information, learning how to get you to let your guard down so that they can access all of that information for their financial gain. And like I said, some of the things they come out of there with is pretty cool. One of my favorite ones is a little trick. Let me show you guys. Who in here has a cell phone on them that has somebody else's number programmed into it? Okay. Now, whose number do you have? Michelle's? Okay. What I'm going to do now, you have a speakerphone on yours as well, right? Okay. I'm going to dial this up, and I'm going to ask you for your number, and Michelle, I'm going to ask you for your number here in just a second. But let me put mine on speakerphone so you guys can hear exactly the same thing that I'm hearing.
Welcome. Please enter your PIN number. To place a call, press 1. To listen to your request, please enter your destination number, followed by the pound sign.
All right, Jane, what's your number? Uh-huh.
Now, please enter the number you wish to display.
All right, Michelle, what's your
caller
number?
ID,
Area code
followed
first.
by the pound sign.
Okay.
To use your normal voice, press 1. To change your voice to sound like a woman, press 2.
Interesting. Let's do that.
To change your voice to record this call, press 1. Otherwise, press 2. You have.
Okay, so now I'm sitting at home on in my secret identity theft lair, and your phone should ring here in just a minute. Oh, your phone's ringing. Who's on your caller ID? It's Michelle. Okay, now go ahead and put your phone on speakerphone. Answer that. Hey, how are you? Yeah, it's me, Michelle. Right. Thanks. Bye. Now, I just did that real briefly, and while the voice might have not sounded exactly like Michelle, it might be enough to trick somebody if they did know who was calling them. For example, you might get a phone call from your bank. How many of you guys have a local bank around here that you do business with, and who might that be? Okay, U.S. Bank. Now, I want you to imagine that you're sitting at home one day and U.S. Bank calls, and you're on your home, and it says right there, U.S. Bank, caller ID. You answer the phone, and it's Sweet Sue the teller down there. And Sweet Sue the teller says, hey, Robert, we've got a problem. Now, someone's coming here to cash a check, and they were acting real suspicious, real funny, and when they gave us the check, I looked in the back, and the signature on this check does not match the signature that we have on file for you. Robert, did you just write a check to a guy for $650? Now, obviously, you're going to say, I did not. And they're going to say, hey, great, well, I'm glad we caught this. The guy's standing out there right now. He thinks that I'm back here cashing this check for him. If you can just verify some information for me, I can stop this transaction from even going through. Now, we all act tough, like I would never give my information out over the phone, but in this situation, you know that you are because you don't want that money taken from your account, so we give that information out. And the worst part about it all is they sit there and they say, okay, we'll get this taken care of, thank you. And what do you tell them? No, thank you. They've just got you. They've just ripped you off. And so, again, unless you initiated that call, never give your information out over the phone. Also, never click on links from unsolicited emails. phishing scams where you might receive an email that looks like it's legitimate from your bank or from a company that you might be doing business with. You know, if you have an account on eBay and you're selling a bicycle, you might get an email that looks like it's from eBay and says a buyer has a question about this bike that you're selling. And you click on that information, on that link, and you log in. And what you've done is you've given somebody access to your eBay account, which is connected to your PayPal account, which is connected to your banks and your credit cards. You can never click on any of those links. Don't carry extra credit cards in your purse or your wallet. And it's not always about having the cards, but it's about protecting those cards. Some of the new things that they're coming out with, again, these thieves are working harder and harder to gather our information, and a lot of the new credit cards have these RFID chips in them. How many of you are familiar with those? Well, we actually have a video that will show you what these thieves are able to do with your credit cards now. They don't even have to steal your wallet to gain access to your information. Let's take a look.
Beware this holiday season. Thieves are now capable of stealing your wallet without even touching you. We went to Times Square to find out just how easy this really is.
Let me just walk around this side of you here and just go near your wallet here. And you have a MasterCard in there? That's your card? And that's your expiration date right there. That's crazy. You have a Chase card in your wallet, sir. It's a Visa Chase card. Okay, you have a Visa card, and that's your number right there. I could take this number right now and put it onto a mag stripe and go in a store and buy something right this minute.
That's crazy. It's a little scary. It's really scary. I mean, there's no way to protect yourself anymore, it seems like.
Scary indeed. It's called electronic pickpocketing, stealing information right off your credit card with a portable card reader. But our next guest says there are ways you can protect yourself. Walt Augustinowicz is the founder of Identity Stronghold, which helps consumers block RFID hacking. Good morning to you, Walt.
Good morning.
This is scary. I think a lot of people there in Times Square were shocked to find out just how easy this is. And if you missed that, let's show the folks again. I have a credit card in my front pocket. So say I'm standing on a train, a subway, a bus, or just a crowded shopping mall.
Just kind of get near you, and we would actually read that card right through the pocket. And that's all we had to do is get near you.
And boom, that number showed up. And this could happen anywhere, because when you're out at a crowded shopping mall, how many people bump up against you? This might be on purpose, and these things are everywhere, you say.
Yeah, there's over 100 million of these cards in circulation already. Most people don't even know they have them on them. They're easily scannable this way, and regardless of what the credit card issuers all say, we have scanned that data, copied it, made a card, walk into the store with a fake card and bought stuff. $50, $250. We've done it, so it is possible.
But credit card companies are telling you you cannot use that information and buy things.
That's what they're saying, but that is totally incorrect, because we have done it.
Your company's going to help protect people. Tell us.
Right. We actually make what's called a secure sleeve. This is basically a Tyvek sleeve with a shielding metal in it. Once your card is in here, no matter what we do, we can't read that card, so you're protected. You put it right back in your wallet. We actually make shielded wallets, women's wallets, men's wallets, passport covers. But once it's in here, every single slot in here shields that card, and it cannot be read once it's in here.
And these would protect, these are for badges and things.
Those are for badges, yeah. The U.S. federal government actually uses our badge holders all the time for their new federal ID card, too. And, you know, we protect that as well.
Are there other ways to protect yourself, to protect your card?
Yeah, actually, if you wrapped it in tinfoil, it would do the same thing.
If you wrapped your wallet or credit card in tinfoil.
Yeah, it's just a pain in the neck when you're taking it in and out. It tears and that kind of thing. So that's why we came up with the sleeve as an easy way someone can put something in. It's inexpensive, put it right back in their pocket.
Is there a website people can go find out more about this?
Yeah, idstronghold.com.
Walt Augustinowicz, that is good information, and it is frightening stuff. Appreciate you coming in, though.
Thanks for having us.
So pretty scary stuff, and again, that kind of thing is happening more and more and more. Those RFID sleeves that the gentleman was talking about on his website, I think you can go on there, and they have those. You can buy some for $19.95, again, to protect your cards that you do carry around in your wallet. But I only carry the cards that you do need with you on a day-to-day basis. Don't use obvious passwords for online accounts. You know, a lot of times people will use their same password over and over and over. And every time you register with a company, if you're using the same password, anybody that hacks into that database and finds out your password can access all of your other email accounts and things, you know, assuming that you are using that same password, because quite frankly, most people do. And again, don't make them obvious things such as birthdays or months or your kids' names. things like that. Number 7, keep your personal information in a secure place at home. Again, if you're carrying around information in your purse or your wallet, things like that. Also at home, when thieves break in, they know where to go, what to look for. Don't leave your bills sitting out at home on the counter, your birth certificates and things like that. Keep them locked up in a safe box if you can. Number 8, review a copy of your credit report on a regular basis. It's recommended that people check that credit report. A lot of times people don't really know where to go for that. We've all seen the commercials, for example, freecreditreport.com. Has anybody in here ever been to freecreditreport.com? Okay, several of you. What's the first thing they ask you for? Credit card, exactly. So it's kind of weird because it's like, really, that's the best name you guys could come up with for a company, Free Credit Report, because it's not free. If you want to access your credit report, you can actually go to annualcreditreport.com. That's annualcreditreport.com. That is actually a website set up by the 3 credit bureaus. According to the FACTA laws, everyone is entitled to a free copy of their credit report annually, and you can go on there and actually request a copy of that from each of the 3 bureaus. Now it's just going to be a basic report. It's not going to have all of your information. It's not going to have your credit scores and everything, but it'll be a quick little snapshot. And as we mentioned before, those of you with minor children, when you go to pull your minor children's credit report, don't be alarmed if a credit report does not come back. That's actually what you want to see. You do not want there to be a credit report on your children. So again, don't be alarmed when that doesn't come back. You're one of the lucky ones. Copy the contents of your wallet on a piece of paper, front and back. And the reason that we recommend that, and this is such a good one, is how many of you ever had your purse or your wallet stolen? Okay, several of you. And what's the first thing that happens when you lose your purse or your wallet? That panic sets in. Oh, what was in that? What was in there? What cards were in there? What credit cards were in there? My health insurance card. And then as you start remembering all the different cards that you had in there, then you have to remember, okay, now who do I call to report the card lost or stolen? Because where's the phone number to report the card lost or stolen? Exactly, on the back of the card that was just lost or stolen. And when you think about it, that's probably the worst place to keep that number. So we recommend just take all of your cards, lay them out on a copy machine, copy them front and back, and then put that piece of paper in a secure spot. So if something does happen, you can immediately go to that and you know exactly all your cards, the account numbers, the phone numbers to call, and you can get them shut down immediately. Next, order and review a copy of your Social Security earnings and benefit statements. It's a quick way to see a snapshot of anybody that might have been working using your Social Security number. If any Social Security income was reported, you can see that on those statements. Next, don't mail bill payments and checks from home. Because I can promise you this, while you're here at work today, there are thieves driving through neighborhoods looking for those red flags. And when they see a red flag, they know probably somebody is sending out a bill. And if they can access your bill, not only do they have all of your account information, but they have your name, your address, your signature, your financial information, all of that on there. So when you are mailing out those bills or any checks or anything like that from home, put those in a locked mailbox. A lot of times your company might have an outgoing mailbox, and they may let you do that here, I'm not sure, or take it to the post office and drop them in there. But again, don't leave them in that mailbox for somebody to drive by and access. And then finally, even following all of the above tips and suggestions will not completely protect you. Investing in some sort of identity theft protection program has become essential, and we recommend one that has a restoration services. And a lot of times people say, well, what are the difference? What does a restoration plan do? What does a monitoring plan do? We've all seen the different programs that are available out there. And so I'll just real briefly tell you the difference. Number one, you have monitoring plans. Any company that offers you a monitoring plan, realize that that's monitoring your credit. If your bank is offering you an identity theft plan, they probably will monitor your bank account. But they can't monitor the Department of Motor Vehicles records. They can't monitor your Medical Information Bureau records. They can't monitor all the different databases. The monitoring plans, which are great to have, really hone in on the credit side of it. Second thing is a reimbursement plan. The good thing about a reimbursement plan is that it reimburses you for your out-of-pocket expenses. The bad thing is that first you have to reimburse before you reimburse, and it's still up to you to do all of the legwork. And understand that a reimbursement plan doesn't reimburse you for all the money that might have been charged. It just reimburses you for your out-of-pocket expenses, which, as we said before, is about $1,500. So any company that might offer a $1 million guarantee in reimbursement might as well offer a $50 million guarantee. Chances are you're not going to get anywhere close to that. Next is fraud alert services. Good thing about a fraud alert service is that it will shut your credit down. Bad thing about a fraud alert is that it will shut your credit down. Usually if someone needs a fraud alert, it's because they suspect that they already are a victim of identity theft. And I would never recommend paying for a company to put fraud alerts on your report, because that is actually something that you can do yourself at no cost. If you do think that you are a victim of identity theft or suspect some activity, you can call the credit bureaus yourself and very quickly have those fraud alerts put on there. And then finally would be a restoration plan. And this is where you actually have a company that steps in and does the legwork for you in identity theft. Because the biggest problem, again, isn't being a victim or finding out you're a victim. It's going out and restoring your identity and cleaning it all up. You know, it takes about 60 seconds to find out that you're a victim of identity theft, but an average of 600 hours to restore your identity. So if you were looking at a protection plan, something to protect your identity, where would you want the coverage? Would you want it in the 60-second notification, or would you want it in the 600-hour restoration, the 600-hour cleanup? Well, the exciting thing is your company now is making a benefit available to you guys that everyone in here can participate in. And I'll just real briefly go through the program. You should all have one of these sheets here in front of you. But it's the Identity Theft Shield. That the first thing it's going to give you is complete credit analysis. Now, this isn't just a basic credit report. You're also with this, it'll come to you in kind of a booklet format. You're going to get your credit scores. You're going to see past addresses that might be on your report. You're going to be able to see, you know, if any judgments hit your report. You'll be able to access all of that information. So a very comprehensive analysis of everything on you. So you'll be able to get that first thing. Second thing that you're going to get is 24-hour-a-day monitoring, just like having a smoke alarm running 24 hours a day in your home. You know, we have sometimes people will come to us and they'll say, well, you know, I pull my credit report once a month. Well, you don't want to be doing that for obvious reasons, but also you don't want to pull your credit report on the 30th of the month to find out that you were a victim on the 5th. With this benefit for you guys, it's going to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anything hits that report, you're notified immediately. Third thing it's going to do for you, give you complete restoration of your identity from start to finish. And it's not me that steps in and cleans up your identity. The company that we actually have that takes care of that for you guys is a company called Kroll, K-R-O-L-L. Some of you might be familiar with them. Kroll is the #1 risk management securities firm in the world. They do a lot of the security clearance for the FBI, the CIA. They were hired by the U.S. government to come in and restructure the Enron Corporation when they went under. These guys are the best of the best when it comes to problem solving. And they actually have a division that will step in and do the cleanup so that you don't have to take that 600 hours. You don't have to be on the phone dealing with the Social Security Administration, Department of Motor Vehicles, the Medical Information Bureau. They step in, they do it all for you from start to finish so that you don't have to do that. And then finally, for those of you with minor children, the benefit would also cover your minor children in that as well. But because identity theft is also a legal issue, access to attorneys can be critical. You know, we see people that are victims of identity theft have criminal charges. They have arrests, lawsuits filed against them, garnishments against their wages, civil litigations, IRS audits, all these different things. So the great part of this benefit for you guys is that it covers full legal protection as well. You're going to be able to pick up the phone, talk to an attorney about any legal situation you've got going on. You can talk to them about a child support, bankruptcy, divorce, tax issue. Maybe you own a business on the side, or your spouse owns a business. You want to talk to them about business law. You'll be able to have the attorneys pick up the phone, talk to the attorneys, get your questions answered, problems resolved. Next, letters and phone calls on your behalf. What this does is it really gives you some legal muscle. How many of you in here have ever been just done wrong? Okay, a few of us. Well, in that situation, you know, we get mad, we get red in the face. You know, maybe you go to a dry cleaner and they mess up your shirt. Maybe your child goes to the hospital and is there for 2 days, and the insurance company says because of the time of the day that they checked in, they're only going to pay for 1 day. Those kind of things, again, that make us so mad that we throw out that phrase that probably everybody in here has thrown out at one point in their lives, and that's, you're going to hear from my attorney. But the problem is we get into our car and we realize what? We don't have an attorney, nor are we going to pay $200 or $300 an hour to get one. Well, in those situations, all you guys have to do is just pick up the phone, call, talk to the law firm, and when they step in and they send out a certified letter with 30 or 40 lawyers' names across the top of the letterhead, or when they pick up the phone and they make a call to the insurance company on your behalf, they're not talking to the customer service department that you and I had to deal with. They're talking to the legal department, and their job is to get your problem resolved. Next, contract and document review. We sign things all the time. We have no idea what they say. Whether we're buying a car, getting a cell phone, leasing an apartment. Well, in those situations, the reason that we don't have our attorneys review them is because, one, we don't have them, and two, we know that it'll cost too much. Well, with this benefit, you guys are able to fax your contracts, any documents over, have the law firm review them. They'll let you know if it's in your best interest or not to sign those. Wills, we know that 8 out of 10 people here in the state of Tennessee do not have their wills done. And, Tennessee is one of the worst states to die in without a will. I don't know of any state that's good to die in with or without a will, but, you definitely don't want to go if you do not have that in place. It's the most important legal document you'll ever have. In fact, most people that don't have that tell you they see value in having the will done, but the reason most people don't have them, the reason 8 out of 10 people here in the state don't have that done, same reason that I as a father did not have my will done at one point, and that's when it comes to getting the will done or getting the mortgage paid, that will's going to take the back burner month after month after month. With this benefit, we're going to provide with not only a full comprehensive will, but a durable power of attorney and a living will at no additional cost. Motor vehicle representation is my favorite part of the benefit. Basically says if you get a moving traffic violation, which is a fancy word for a speeding ticket, they're going to send a lawyer to court to represent you. Lawyer's job, get you the best deal possible, which is always no points on your license. Because points go on your license, what happens to your insurance rates? That's right, they go up. And they go up a lot more than the cost of this benefit, which I haven't even shared with you guys. The best part is only $5.98 a week. Now, that's not $5.98 for each person in your household. This is a family plan. Covers not only you, but your spouse if you're married, any children you have living at home up to the age of 21, any children away at college up to the age of 23, and any handicapped children are covered for life. So remember, with this benefit on this motor vehicle part, if you have a teenage driver, they're covered. If you have a spouse that drives like a teenager, or for some of you, you may be that spouse, you're covered. Also, this plan is a nationwide plan. So if you're on vacation down in Florida or just driving locally to the grocery store, you have an attorney to step in, represent you. You don't have to flip that ticket over, sign it, and send it off. Just pick up the phone, call. Have the attorney step in for you. Next area is trial defense. If you're sued in any civil suit or job-related criminal charge, you have an attorney to step in and represent you in that. Also, if you're audited by the IRS, you have a tax attorney to step in and handle that for you. 24-hour emergency access to an attorney. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning in an emergency situation and you need to get an attorney on the phone, you have access to that. Again, Susan, we were talking earlier about when you got pulled over there and ended up going to jail. At that moment you had the right to an attorney, but you didn't have access to an attorney. All of you guys are going to receive that access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And in addition to everything that we've talked about, everything that we've covered so far is covered for you as part of your benefit. That $5.98 a week covers everything that we've talked about. But for those situations above and beyond that, you still will receive a discounted rate on. What do I mean by that? Let's say, for example, you get pulled over and you get a speeding ticket. That's covered. You don't pay for that lawyer to go to court and represent you on that. But let's say in the course of that traffic stop, police officer opens up your trunk and he finds 2 or 3 dead bodies back there. Now, that is not covered at 100%. But they would coupon rate that for you. They'll give you a good deal on it. But in all seriousness, that would cover things such as maybe a DUI, a full-blown divorce, drug charges, things that might not be in the day-to-day issues that you might need help with. That's the benefit. Very simple to take out the plan. All of you guys should have an application here. All you have to do is just fill out the yellow highlighted portions of this application, just basic information. And as you fill that out, I'm going to come around and I've actually have some temporary membership packets for you. And I'll just show you here what we have in here. Some pretty good stuff in here. I know some of you, when you take the benefit home or take the information home, you want your spouse to learn a little bit more about the program. So we have some additional information, additional ways that you can utilize the plan, different contact numbers. My direct contact information is in here, so that if you ever have any questions about anything, you can always call me directly, as well as a customer service number. You know, the wills. We know most of you guys don't have that done. This is something you can start working on immediately. And included here is a will questionnaire for both you and your spouse if you're married. Now, this isn't the actual will, the information that goes into the will. So you can sit down, start working on this. You get this to the law firm. They'll prepare that will, get it back to you, and you've got that taken care of. Also, auto decals. These are pretty neat. If you take these and put them on your rear view window and a police officer pulls you over, and they see this, they know that you have our coverage. Most police officers are familiar with our service. They have access to our law officers program. We protect a lot of those guys as well. But if they see this, they know something. They know that if they do give you a ticket, that you're going to have an attorney represent you in court, which means even if court happens to fall on their day off, they still have to show up. And we've had police officers tell us that if you're in a situation where they can give a warning, a lot of times they will. Now, if you're speeding 60 miles an hour through a school zone, it doesn't matter how many stickers you have, you're probably going to end up more than going to court. You might be going to jail in that situation. But for those situations where it is borderline and they might be able to give you a warning, we have had officers tell us that they will do that. Also in here we have an RFID card blocker sleeve. Some of you might remember the video that we just watched where they were going out and accessing credit card information, and you can order those sleeves online. And we actually have some of those sleeves in this packet that we're going to give you just for trying out the benefit here today. So if you need 1, 2 of those, just let us know. We'll make sure that those are included as you, again, just as a thank you for trying out the benefit. So take your applications, fill those out. The yellow highlighted portions, I'll be glad to walk around, answer any additional questions that anybody has. I appreciate your time. Hope you've enjoyed the presentation. Again, thank you very much.